So I'll be honest with y'all, I had no reason for actually watching this movie. There was no clip or reference or even meme that I stumbled upon. I just remembered it and was like, I should watch that next. Now, this isn't my first time watching Stephen Sommers' Van Helsing. I've probably watched it like a dozen times as a kid, and even like, you know, a few times as like a teenager, but it's been quite a few years since I last partook. Let me tell you, this shit is crazy bad, only sometimes in a good way. So let's get into it. So we start off at 1887, and if you didn't get that we were in the past, the black and white filter should help you out. We meet infamous scientist, you might have heard of him, Victor Frankenstein, and he then proclaims, "It's alive!" That's iconic. Now, while he's distracted with the angry mob outside his castle, we get introduced to the Count via jump scare. But it's chill because Victor knows him apparently.
Count, it's just you.
And as Frankenstein is trying to pack and escape with his 6'6" newborn, the Count lets him in on his plan and why he funded Victor's experiment in the first place. We, the audience, don't get to know the plan, but we do see the good doctor's reaction, and he's not really feeling it apparently.
Good God. I would kill myself before helping in such a task.
In an attempt to escape, Victor tries to stab the Count, fails, and ends up being drained. When Frankenstein's newborn monster sees this, he throws a tantrum, and Dracula. The big baby then grabs Victor's corpse and escapes to a convenient nearby windmill, where Igor proceeds to narc on him to the rioting villagers. Of course, the villagers burn the windmill down, presumably killing the monster. 1 year later, we get a fantastic transition and introduction to our main character, Hugh Jackman. Well, I mean, Gabriel Van Helsing.
Van Helsing!
And he's on the hunt for notorious murderer Mr. Hyde.
Murder of 12 men, 6 women, 4
children, 3 adults, and a rather nasty massacre of poultry.
Now, this whole sequence with Mr. Hyde is a green screen CGI fiasco. Kinda gross, but not gross enough at the same time. But don't worry, it'll become a theme throughout the movie. After Van Helsing kills Mr. Hyde and subsequently Dr. Jekyll, we're introduced to the secret organization that he works for. The Catholic Church. You heard it here first, folks. Even in this fictional world, the Catholic Church can't keep its grubby little noses out of everyone else's business. We're also treated to some expository dialogue where we learn that Van Helsing just showed up one day, hundreds of years ago, with no memory of who he was. So the church, of course, just took him in and used him as their own personal bounty hunter. What else would you do? So this priest guy goes on to explain this new mission they have for Van Helsing. It's simple. Kill a vampire. They also assigned this monk,
actually I'm still just a friar,
to be Van Helsing's assistant and personal armory. He's the typical bumbling idiot, yet super inventive comedic relief character, and I don't really like him. Now they're on their way to Transylvania, but we get to jump there ahead of them and meet our main female protagonist. Ass. They fucking sexualize the ever-living fuck out of Kate Beckinsale, and I mean Anna Valerius. And honestly, they sexualize her brother Velkin too. Anyway, we meet the siblings in an attempt to capture a werewolf that the Count apparently released recently. Of course, it doesn't go great for them, as the werewolf and Velkin go tumbling off a cliff into some river. Cut back to our boys, and they've just arrived in town, and nobody seems happy about it, except this guy, who is my third favorite character. Anna gets territorial over the rights to kill the Count, I guess, and oh no, the bride's attack. I absolutely love the bride style. The actresses always go hard with their characters, so it hurts when one of the bitches die. You'd think everyone would be like thrilled that one of the bloodsuckers is dead, you know? Of course. But the villagers are more concerned that there'll be like retaliation. Next, we're graced with the Count's presence as he gives us a phenomenal monologue.
No love, nor fear, nor joy, nor sorrow.
Once again, the big plan is hinted at, but nothing more than that. There really isn't actually a good reason for me to include this scene other than to see my boy again and to point out how hard the actors of the bride and Count go. They really get into it to the point where it's almost uncomfortable. Back to the main trio. Anna gives Van Helsing and company a little lore. Apparently her house used to be the Count's some 4 centuries earlier, but where he crashes now is a mystery. She goes on to say that her father would stare at this map on their wall trying to figure out just where he could be. Side note, all this weaponry around the estate, decorating goals really. Anyway, Van Helsing is giving her shit for nearly getting herself killed, and we're subjected to one of the many times the writer tries to force the sexual tension between the two. Now, in order to keep Anna from going out into the night to hunt vampires like a scrub, Van Helsing basically drugs her and throws her into her room to sleep it off. Later, when Anna finally wakes up, she goes stomping around to yell at Van Helsing, only to run into her totally not dead brother. Yay! But during the tumble off the cliff, he was bitten and now does the Count's bidding. Boo. Before Velkin can give his sister any useful advice, the super convenient clouds move, and the full moon is exposed, forcing him to transform. Anna almost gets killed again, but Van Helsing saves her and then runs after the beast. While on pursuit, Van Helsing runs into the gravedigger, my boy, and I finally have a laugh in this movie.
When you need a fresh one.
Oh, sorry.
It is short-lived because he immediately dies, which is actually longer than I thought he would last. Anyway, just as Van Helsing gets a clear shot of Wolfie Boy, Anna comes in and ruins it, crying not to kill her brother. Good old Van Helsing really sticks his foot in it though, when he lets it slip that he knew it was Velkin the whole time.
He's not your brother anymore, Anna!
And she's pissed that he was willingly going to kill her brother. Anna announces that it's known that the Count has a cure, convenient, and now she has a new mission alongside killing the vampires. Van Helsing agrees to help after literally no deliberation, and off they go, tracking that wet dog smell.
Why does it smell like wet dog in here?
All the way to the supposedly abandoned Castle Frankenstein. But it's not abandoned, oh no sir. Inside, the Count, Igor, and some less than cute minions are preparing for a recreation of Dr. Frankenstein's original experiment. Velkin comes and joins the party after failing to run the Count's errand of finding out who the noobs are. He then gets strapped into a machine, and we get this cute little dance from my boy. According to my notes, this was the second laugh while watching the first time, so awesome. Cutting back to the lovely couple, they've made it into the castle and discover a scene from Alien. These lovely goo-filled slime balls are eggs and are the product of 2 vampires getting it on. And like there's like hundreds of them, so maybe next time use protection. The little bundles of demonic joy aren't alive though, just kind of chillin'. And surprise, surprise, that's why the Count was funding Victor's research. He and his brides want to bring their children to life. After this revelation, Igor switches to the machine and boom, that's where babies come from. It's unnecessarily gross CGI mess, but whatever, the brides seem happy enough. The Count orders his ladies to go teach their children how to feed, while he stays to deal with Van Helsing, who is busy blasting one grotesque baby after another. Meanwhile, Anna's still trying to find her brother, who is being used as a human battery. His energy is not enough, though. Back with the boys, the Count apparently knows Van Helsing, which is news to him, you know, because of the memory loss thing. And I've been avoiding calling the Count by his name, which, you know, you might have noticed. And that's because of this great scene where he introduces himself.
Reintroduce myself. I am Count Vladislaus Dracula.
I just can't say Dracula when this legend pronounces it like this. Anyway, Anna makes it up the tower to rescue her damsel in distress, also known as her brother, even though he's basically being electrocuted. He begs her not to unstrap him because he might go wolfy and hurt her. Spoiler though, he goes wolfy and breaks out anyway. Back in the village, the monk
Actually, I'm still just a friar.
is distraught as the brides and their spawn have arrived and are basically flying villagers off to, I guess, feed on them. There's not a lot of actual feeding in the moment, mostly just picking people up as they cry for help. The friar saves some random woman from being whisked away, and then all the babies start exploding. So I guess since Velkin wasn't a good enough battery, the machine that brought the little suckers back to life was losing power, which somehow resulted in the creatures that were already alive to just combust. Solid logic. Solid. The Count is distracted when his brides return crying about their dead babies or whatever, giving Van Helsing a chance to escape, grabbing Anna on his way. Her brother, who I said before, transformed, and then he continues to, then fall off yet another cliff into yet another river low. I'm going to speed things up a bit because I'm honestly tired of this movie already. On their way back to the village, Anna and Van Helsing fall down a hole underneath that windmill that burned down earlier and get knocked out. The friar got laid because that woman he saved wanted to repay him, and the next morning he and her stumble upon a big clue via secret compartments and buttons. Back in the hole, Van Helsing and Anna meet Frankenstein's monster in the flesh. It turns out he didn't actually die in that fire and has been just hiding out underground ever since. Unfortunately, Wolfie Boy tailed the couple and now knows the creature is alive, so, of course goes and tattles on them. Van Helsing shoots the big guy with like 3 tranquilizers and tells Anna that he'll have to take him to the Vatican to keep him out of the hands of the Count. Okay. Presumably, later that day, the creature is chained up in a carriage with the friar, and this is all an attempt to get him to safety as quickly as possible. Obviously, it doesn't go smoothly, as Van Helsing is attacked by the brides, and the carriage detached and starts hurtling down a ravine. The brides try to save the creature inside, only for one of the brides to not only find its sans creature, but with a very anti-vampire bomb in it. So the gang had this whole decoy situation going on, which is made clear when Helsing meets back up with Anna driving a separate carriage. All is not well, because here comes our favorite brother to cause trouble with yet another carriage fight scene that ends in a totally believable carriage explosion once everyone is free. Long story short, Velkin is shot by Van Helsing and dies. Van Helsing is bit by Velkin and infected, and Anna is kidnapped by the last remaining bride. The gang, now without Anna, follow the bride to Budapest, which, according to some angry comments online, is supposed to be Bucharest. And the production team just didn't check that. It's fun. Well, anyway, while in Budapest, the remaining bride, Elira, invites Van Helsing to a ball where he can exchange the creature for Anna. They're obviously not going to do that. So instead they lock the creature up in a graveyard to hide him while Van Helsing and friend go to the ball. Which brings us to one of the more ridiculous scenes. What in the CGI circus is this? Whatever. The Count is using some sort of vampire trickery to compel Anna not to fight him, but instead dance with him. There's a bit more uncomfortable sexual tension between them before it's revealed via convenient mirror placement that all of the guests are indeed vampires themselves. Van Helsing is none the wiser as he literally swings in and snatches Anna up. Igor then saunters in with the creature and the Count sicks all of his vampire friends after them. We're spared another dramatic fight scene as the friar finally has a revelation on what his invention from the start of the movie is for.
What's it for?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm sure it'll come in handy.
Destroying vampires. Fuck duh. Unfortunately, Igor gets away with the creature, which means there's still more movie. The trio return to Anna's house after finding Castle Frankenstein deserted, and the friar tells them all that he learned while researching through her family archives. One thing I do want to point out, real quick, is that the Count was apparently the son of the Valerius Elder, which means he's related to Anna. Makes that over-sexual dance scene and offer to become his bride just a little creepier. Through context clues, I guess, Van Helsing discovers the door to the Count's hidden lair is actually that map that Anna's father had been staring at for years. You just need, like, the missing corner piece and, like, some magic words. Buckle in, everyone. We're in the home stretch. More green screen. More green screen. So they find Igor and interrogate him into showing them where the supposed cure is, while Van Helsing heads towards the lab to stop the Count. Before, though, we're subjected to yet another intense, unwanted moment of the writers shipping Van Helsing and Anna hard. I'm just not feeling it. Anyway, Igor leads Anna and the friar to the antidote, only to trap them in there with Lear, the remaining bride. During a struggle involving corrosive acid, Anna gets the friar to take the antidote to Van Helsing while she deals with the vampire. And now I'm really going to skip over a bunch because it's just a lot of CGI fight scenes that really don't mean much. Van Helsing is attempting to save the creature from the electric slab, but then the Count just comes in and ruins it. And with the creature acting as the world's best battery, the Count's children start to wake. Duracell does eventually escape on his own and ends up accidentally but kind of on purpose saving the friar as he's attempting to cross a long ass bridge in a storm while Igor is chasing him with a cattle prod. Igor's death, though, top notch. And the friar in return saves the creature from falling off the bridge as well. Meanwhile, Anna is fighting Lear and getting her kicked, while the creature comes in and holds her back for a little while. Not too long, though, because she still gets attacked and has to kill the vamp herself. In the lab, the Count and Van Helsing are having a good old-fashioned vampire versus werewolf fight, and there's a moment that it looks like Van Helsing might win until those oh so convenient clouds block the moon, and he changes back to human. He remains human, and sure, just long enough for some more expository dialogue from the Count.
Did I mention that it was you who murdered me?
Van Helsing is the one who killed the Count over 400 years ago, because he's really the left hand of God, or something, Gabriel. Stupid, I know. Van Helsing goes wolf again, and eventually kills Dracula, thus killing his offspring too. I don't know how that works. Now, Anna runs in with the antidote, but Van Helsing isn't, in his right mind, and leaps onto her, killing her. Before she died, she had the sense to, hold the needle out, so it stuck into him and cured him. The end of the film, consists of a funeral for Anna by the sea. Van Helsing sees an image of her and her family ascending to heaven, and credits. So tired. So this movie, it isn't great. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it somewhat. In a way, it's complicated. It can definitely be a fun movie to watch if you just like shut your brain off. But sometimes I'm incapable of such things, so I got nitpick just a wee bit. The werewolf mechanics, or whatever you call them, are janky as hell. When we first meet a werewolf, it's during the day, so you think that the whole moon thing just doesn't apply. But then with Velkin, it's suggested that the transformation really is like directly moon based. However, it gets even more specific, like the moon has to be exposed for the transformation to happen. So like what I'm getting at is, if on the night of the full moon, if it was completely cloudy and rainy, then like a werewolf couldn't transform, right? But then it's stupid. That's all you gotta know. If someone wants to put their 2 cents in, feel free, because I'm struggling. Moving on to something that doesn't make me want to pull my literal hair out, I think we can all agree that there was an excess amount of green screen usage. Sometimes it's used to convey the vastness, like in Dracula's lair. Sometimes it's used to create a different background in the scenery, like in the beginning when Van Helsing and Carl, the friar, are riding in. But it's really too much sometimes. The most I enjoyed about this movie, besides Dracula and his brides, of course, was the practical sets, like the village or the secret lab under the Vatican. I wish more of the budget would have gone towards the actual like tangible set pieces instead of green screen bull. And if they'd cut the movie down just a wee bit, I think they could have done it. Now this may be controversial. I don't know how everyone else feels about this, but I can't see any chemistry between the main characters. I don't think it has anything to do with the actors. Hugh and Kate kind of just, did what they could. Van Helsing and Anna just weren't written well. Anna was almost exclusively created to add drama, with her brother becoming a werewolf and then dying, and then her getting captured and later dying. I just don't ship it, I guess. You know who I do see the chemistry between, though? Anna and her brother. And I know it's weird, but like every interaction is so intense and there's like this awkward tension between the two. I think some of it has to do with Velkin never wearing her shirt after we see him transform the once. And no, I don't ship them either. I just think it's weird that the sibling characters have more romantic tension than the leads. Okay, I've trashed this movie enough. The good things, the campiness of Dracula and his brides, and the gravedigger, the design of Frankenstein's monster, the costumes, other than Kate's. That's pretty much it, though. I think I'd give Van Helsing like a 5 out of 10, which is generous when you look at the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Yikes. If you all have anything else to say about this film, go wild in the comments. Like, fair warning, I'm sensitive though. So please, please be kind to me. I'll see you around.